All right, it's the No Morning Show. I am Natalee Legore, and as Rockus has said, we're going to be talking about the safe zones that the government is trying to implement for certain areas and certain kinds of businesses so that people can, one, they say yesterday I spoke to the Minister of Health, reopen the economy, give people an opportunity to earn their bread, and also give you an opportunity to do some of the things that you've been wanting to do for the last couple of months. So let's welcome social activist Inshan Ishmael to talk to us about that. Good morning to you, Inshan.
Good morning, Natalie, and good morning to the thousands and thousands of viewers throughout Trinidad and Tobago and worldwide.
I'm glad you know, because watch me, things be lit over here, you know. People just really like to watch. So, Inshan, I know the Ministry of Health and the Minister have indicated that they're going to be doing vaccination safe zones, which is those who are vaccinated will be able to, you know, enjoy some of the things that they need and want, some of the areas, so like gyms, restaurants, even bars at a later date. But these are just some of the areas that they'll be able to go in without their masks and do what they have to do. What do you have an issue, first of all, with the plan to have these safe zones?
Well, first off, I should state that I am not an anti-vaccine anyway. In fact, I've had every vaccine that was intended for me as a child growing up. Tetanus, in fact, I updated ever so often. In fact, my children. So I am in full support of vaccines. So what my concerns are is that worldwide we are seeing, so many issues in regards to the vaccination and the safe zones and what is taking place. In fact, empirical data would show that a safe zone does not stop anyone from getting the virus. And up to last night, I was watching a report on ABC where it showed that people who enter these safe zones, essentially, they tend to be more lax. In other words, they go there, they take off their masks, they believe that they're in a special comfort zone, so therefore they more or less turn down their guards. And what you find is that people who normally would protect themselves would go into an area. For example, if you were to be allowed to go into the cinemas, while you're eating, you would take down your mask, the person to the back, they're coughing, you're in front. So therefore, at the end of the day, there are many examples of where the issue lies, where people who go into these areas tend to turn down, their level of concern where the virus is concerned. Secondly,
all right, but
for me, I think one of the
Listen to me just for a minute. We know that one of the first things we were told is that the vaccination won't stop us from contracting the virus. There wasn't any doubt that if you took the vaccine, all of a sudden, you were this 100% safe, as in you can't contract the virus. We were told, but we were also told that your chances of contracting the virus is less. And when you talk about people in these safe zones, while you may have data to show that, yes, people can contract the virus in those settings, the reality and the question is how much? Because if you have 1,000 people in a place who are vaccinated and you have 2 people who have contracted the virus, I think it's worth taking the chance. The thing about life is that everything is a risk.
No, I understand fully what you're saying, and your point is very valid. But the fact is that when we look at statistics, for example, in Israel, where 65% of the persons who are vaccinated got the virus, and not only that, the fact is that they are hospitalized, and you have many severe cases now. Now, everything I'm telling you here, you could check and see for yourself. For example, in Seychelles as well, you're seeing data where people who are vaccinated are hospitalized. You're seeing people who are also dying. So the fact is that the goalpost keeps shifting. And let me explain this. The reality of it is that we were never told at the beginning of this vaccination thrust that this vaccine, when you're taking it, it would, you'll get it, but you'll get it mild. This was a protection at the beginning. Then all of a sudden, when they found out that people were still getting the virus, okay, we're going to shift the goalposts a little bit. And then all of a sudden now, you're hearing that it's due to expire in October the 1st, but we could use it 3 months after. Then why didn't you put in the expiry date 3 months after the beginning? So at the end of the day, you keep the goalposts keep shifting. And to me, I think it raises more concerns. And again, the data is there, and I know you're a well-researched individual because I watched you on the other stations, and I know that you are very well-researched. And one of the things that I have done myself as a talk show host similar to you, what we have done is that a lot of people will call us. And look, for example, let me just use another example here. Recently, the CMO stated that there were no cases of menstrual issues with women. Dr. Shireen Kalu put on a page the women who had issues with menstrual problems and issues to please come forward. Over 497 comments when I saw that post. And out of the 497, almost 90% stated that there were issues. But the CMO stated that there was no issues that he was aware of. The minister said there was no issues.
Let me go through some of the points that you made. Now, I understand what is happening in Israel. I disagree with what is happening in Seychelles because they had come out to say, yes, while you have people who are vaccinated who are getting the virus, is that most of the cases were from the unvaccinated. At least that's the last thing I read coming out of Seychelles, yeah? Israel, yes. But I'm saying that you have over 190 countries. I cannot just use one if I'm looking at statistics and if I'm going to measure to say, okay, we have this in one country. What happened to the other 190 odd, you know, that have taken the vaccines and don't have that level or that kind of response? And so what we have to look at is who, you know, what makes somebody predisposed to these kind of things. Even this morning, your point about, you know, people who are having reactions or, you know, menstrual issues as a result of taking the vaccine. I said it this morning that I believe that the Ministry of Health should set up a clinic to sit and talk with these people, because at the end of the day, you cannot tell somebody how to feel and you should not dismiss their feelings. I said it like out of my mouth, I said, if somebody never used to have menstrual issues and this happens after taking the vaccine, surely they're going to want to believe that there's some correlation between the two. So I believe that it is something the Ministry of Health should address. Yeah? But as I said, when it comes down to statistics, we cannot use it in isolation. If we're talking about something that's happening across the world, and we're talking about over 190 odd countries who are in this and who have taken vaccines, we can't just point out two countries and say, okay, this is what is happening there, so we shouldn't try to protect ourselves. And your point regarding the goalposts always shifting, it's something that we've always said here, but we understand that it's almost like, you know, you learn a new word and, you know, you're using it in this context and then you learn you can use it in another context. Sometimes you don't even know how to spell it. And as you go, you learn new things about the word. I think it's the same concept with the virus, is that yes, the goalpost has always changed because yes, new information is coming to you. And there might be a time when the ministry might say, listen, after research, yes, we can say there's some kind of, you know, reaction to this vaccine or that vaccine. So I don't think it's something I'd want to hold against the ministry, because the goalpost shifts right across the world as they learn more about the COVID-19 virus.
I am glad you brought up that point. And to that I will say this. In Trinidad and Tobago, it takes you 3 years to get an MRI. It takes you 2 years to get a CT scan. The Oncology Center in Mount Hope is in fact, it's not even off the foundation as yet. And you're talking about over 5 to 6 years of putting that together. And you're telling me that I am to believe statistically the people who say they care about my health, and these are the people who have problems with drugs and CDAP. These are the people who causing my mothers and fathers to wait 3 years for MRI. These are the people who say they love us and care about cancer, but the Oncology Center can never start, but we could do a $14 million panyard. We could do a $1 billion airport in Tobago, which is not necessary right now, a terminal, by the way. So you are telling me they love me so much, that they care about me so much, that, you know, they want me to live so long, that every other disease in Trinidad and Tobago they don't care about, but all of a sudden this is special, this is unique, this is so special to us that they want to love us and love us more, that they're willing to give us gifts, that they are willing to give us money, that they are willing to give us prizes. Imagine that. Amazing, huh?
No, Inshan, I am not going to go down that road for the simple reason that when you have capital expenditure is distributed, you know, according to ministries, and you can't say to this ministry, don't do what's under your portfolio because it's not being done under this one. Yeah?
No, but Natalee, with all due respect, $5 billion. Let us talk about capital expenditure. There was the budget allocation.
Yeah.
The reality of it is that we know that due to COVID, many of the surgeries that were supposed to have been done was not done because COVID was used as the excuse. We cannot do major surgeries. We cannot see you because of this and that. But the reality of it is that that budget expenditure, a lot of it has not been touched because $5 billion, that's $5 billion that we got and we have spent thus far, according to the minister, and we are yet to see where that $5 billion has gone. So therefore, capital expenditure is of concern. But the fact is that when the minister has not showed me a breakdown of where $5 million went, where's the empirical data to state that we spent $1 billion on sanitization, $1 billion on vaccines? We have not seen it. So therefore, without the empirical data, we cannot talk about financial expenditure.
But I mean, there are processes to get accountability. So regardless, I am sure that at some point we are going to see the actual figures as to how much money is spent on PPE, how much money is spent on vaccination, how much money is spent on sanitization, on all of these things. The reality is that there are processes in place, whether in the Ministry of Health or any other ministry, that you have to go through the parliament and you have to account for the monies that are spent. So I am not worried about that, in that you can't hide it. At some point, you're going to know what the exact numbers are. Yeah? Matter of fact, a budget is coming up, so I am sure that these are things that will be ironed out. And while I understand your concerns, as I said, to me, give it time. As you said, the goalpost is always changing. It's probably because it needs to. Yeah? Because as you said, as that data that you keep talking about, as that data presents itself, it gives you the opportunity to see where we are and what has happened with the virus, with the vaccination and all of that. So I'm saying, Inshan, give it some time now. Give it some time for you to understand. The point that I agree with you with is that, and I said it even before you came on the show, is that I remember that in Arima, they had started a clinic for people who had post-COVID symptoms, long-term, long-haul symptoms from COVID-19. So I know that there was that clinic in the Arima hospital. I'm saying that the ministry now has to set up a similar clinic for those who now are having what they consider to be side effects to the vaccination. I think that is important. I agree with you on that we need to have something in place so that anybody who feels some type of way after taking the vaccine can get that counseling as to, okay, this is where we are, this is what we know about the vaccines, these are the things that we expect, the side effects that we expect, and if you have this, we'll go and research it, and we'll see where we are. Yeah?
No, I fully, again, I agree with you, but the reality of it is that what takes place in the real world, unfortunately, does not translate into anything being done. And let us face facts. In fact, when we look at social media, social media was up in an uproar over the $5 billion being spent. And the fact is that any minister who holds any position would see, oops, and my gimbal decided to die on me. Any minister who decides that the expenditure of $5 billion, it should be of concern, and I think that they would do something about it.
Yeah, and you know what? You said social media was in an uproar, and I miss all of that. Where on social media you going?
No. Natalee Legore, you go back to Facebook and you take a look at the $5 billion, and you will see all over. I think we're having some problems with our gimbal.
Okay, but I am hearing you clearly, so you probably will just adjust the gimbal. But let me tell you something. When it comes on to social media, I don't go for fact-finding on social media, darling, because I know the dangers of that. Yeah? So I'll balance that with everything else in life. Yeah, so as you fix the gimbal, we have just about 2 minutes left. What do you feel about the safe zones? Are you in support of these safe zones at the end of the day, or is it just a no for you? Or is it just a let's wait and see how it works? Inshan?
Of it is that, for me, it's left to be seen. It's left to be seen where the safe zones are concerned.
Yeah.
And the reality is that many people are wondering exactly if it would work or not. My biggest concern to this, to Natalie, is that it is discriminatory to a point. Because the fact is that you're telling me that I decided to use choice and not get vaccinated, so all of a sudden I'm discriminated against. In Trinidad and Tobago, the first thing we should be mandating is the type of mask that people use. Someone could take paper and make a mask, and it isn't a problem. Yet it is, we have people walking around with these masks all over Trinidad and Tobago, but there's no standards in regards to the mask that is being used. So I think that is an area that we need to look at.
Okay. All right, Inshan, we have about 30 seconds left. I spoke to the Minister of Health yesterday, asking him that very same question. If it's not discriminatory to have, you know, people who are unvaccinated not being able to enjoy certain areas or certain spaces. And he said to me, no, it's not. The reality is, if you didn't want to vaccinate your child, even if you didn't want to vaccinate your child, you had the choice to do that. It's just that you knew that the child would have to be homeschooled. Because he pointed out that even from that age, even to go to UE, and I remember when I had to go to UE, there are some vaccinations that I had to upgrade as well. But, you know, otherwise I couldn't get into UE. Do you consider that discriminatory?
Yeah, but there were no statistics showing you that people had problems with their eyesight, with their hearing, people becoming, you know, people have been hospitalized with serious issues after those vaccines.
So your issue is the side effects.
With these vaccines now.
So your issue is know the side effects before you apply that.
Exactly, 100%.
All right, Inshan, we have to leave it there, but thank you so much for being with us here this morning and sharing your views with us.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, Inshan Ishmael, they're social activist. Guys, what do you think? What are your thoughts, Natasha?
I have to agree with the Minister of Health and the fact that, you know, if you make a choice, there are consequences that you're going to have to deal with.
Always in life.
And it is what it is.
Always.
You know, we went to school, as you rightly said. I remember in secondary school, we had to get vaccinated.
And nobody complained.
Nobody complained about it.
You just knew if you didn't, you weren't going into school.
Exactly. You know, so it is what it is.
I remember when I applied for you, they'd be like, oh, this one expired, that one expired. I had to go to St. Andrew's Memorial, you know, the nice posh private hospital, because then the thing is they weren't accepting it from any and every hospital either.
Yeah.
Hello?
Is that discrimination then?
Hello?
At the end of the day, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And that is what
I mean, I just understand that with these things is that you have to do what you have to do, and not everybody is going to be pleased. And people have to understand that at some point you're going to have to take responsibility for your own life and realize that if you make this choice, this is where you're going. Take the high road or the low road, it's your choice.
But you know, because at the end of the day, the government is damned if they do and damned if they don't. Because when they had no vaccines, it was a problem. Now they have vaccines, it's a problem.
If I choose not to be vaccinated, I just know I'm not going to Trotters to eat. I can't fret.
You might save some money.
Let me take a break and come back with more Inside the Morning Show. Too much bacchanal, I'm ready for it.
Are you ready for bacchanal?